Bulls Nation, as you are well aware, the NBA All-Star voting has now been open. And one of the earliest videos I've ever made on this channel was Zach Lavine, is he an All-Star? Well, almost a year later, a little bit less than a year later, it's time to go to the second part of that video and once again talk about, is Zach Lavine an All-Star? Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lot of top discussions to talk about that All-Star game. And let's talk about the Chicago Bulls' Zach Lavine and the All-Star appearance in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a video that I've made almost a year ago and it's time for nearly a year later to bring this video back. Is Zach Lavine an All-Star? The Chicago Bulls have one of the better shooting guards in the NBA today and he's playing like it this season. However, is it enough to say he is an All-Star candidate for this season? But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below overall, what do you guys think about Zach Lavine's All-Star chances this year? At the end of the day, we do have a lot to discuss in terms of Zach Lavine and the All-Star potential that he has. But first, before we go into anything, that video that I made last year, I said that Zach Lavine was an All-Star. And that was when Zach Lavine had a worse season than this season. So maybe you guys can already predict what my answer is going to be. But Zach Lavine, when it should have been in Chicago, in my opinion, Zach Lavine should have been an All-Star. I think he well and truly deserved it last season. And the record is kind of what got in the way of the Chicago Bulls, Zach Lavine being an All-Star. However, we saw the likes of Trae Young, who had an amazing season, but had the worst record in the league at the time, become an All-Star. Again, all of that being said, you can't help but feel that Zach Lavine, in my opinion, got snubbed from it last year. My personal belief is that Zach Lavine got snubbed from it last year. However, is this year going to be a different story? Or is it going to be history repeating itself with Zach Lavine not becoming an All-Star? We have to look at the stats, obviously, for Zach Lavine. And granted, this is very, very early days. Don't think that just because I'm talking about this now, when it does come time to become an All-Star, things can definitely change. This is a very early is Zach Lavine an All-Star video. Zach Lavine at this point in time is averaging 27 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 5.5 assists per game. He's shooting 50% from the field and 39% from 3 with an 87% free throw rating or free throw percentage. That is very, very, very good stats for the Chicago Bulls. It's very good stats for Zach Lavine. Once again, he's taken another big leap in terms of his contribution to the Chicago Bulls and the stats that he provides. And he definitely is playing like an All-Star caliber player this season. Now, of course, what people may say in terms of Zach Lavine is obviously, will he get the votes? Obviously, this is a voting All-Star game, is definitely part of the votes. Will he get enough votes to put him as an All-Star starter? And honestly, I don't think so. I really don't think he will get the votes. I feel like people sleep on Zach Lavine, and I feel like people like their favorites. Kyrie Irving is someone that I believe will get a ton of votes, whether he has a good year or a bad year, because it's Kyrie Irving. Very, very similar to other players around the league as well. Most people will probably pick their favorites. So Zach Lavine might not be an All-Star starter because of the voting and how the voting works. Most people will pick other players. But does that mean he can be an All-Star? I truly believe if he's not an All-Star now, I don't know what he has to do to be proven as an All-Star. When you're scoring 27 points and 5 assists, when you have 5 rebounds, when you're shooting 50% from the field, when you're shooting 40% from the 3, what more could you possibly want from a player to become an All-Star? Do you want him to drop 30 every single game? If Zach Lavine gets snubbed from this, if Bradley Beal, someone else that I believe got snubbed, if both Zach Lavine and Bradley Beal are not All-Stars this year, then I've truly lost faith in how they decide to vote these things in. Now, at the end of the day, it's a lot of the things outside of the starting five for both East and West comes to coaches, comes to the decisions of analysts, reporters, and stuff like that. This is where it becomes concerning because Zach Lavine is playing at an all-star level, but do those people see that? One of the strongest things I've always said about reporters, about analysts, about pundits, whatever you want to call them, is that they don't go for one particular team. They don't watch the Bulls alone and say, yeah, Zach Lavine's playing good. Most of those people will have no idea how the Chicago Bulls are doing until it becomes part of their TV show. Most of them will not have a clue. That's the worrying sign for me. That's the sign of, my goodness, can we really trust these people to bring Zach Lavine into the All-Star game, or to put a player like Bradley Beal into the All-Star game that didn't make it last season? That's where those questions begin to get asked. That's when the question of, is Zach Lavine an All-Star, really comes into play. Now, obviously, I talked about last video. I said the last video I made about this potential discussion, I said Zach Lavine is an All-Star. Zach Lavine can be an All-Star, but it's up to him to get him there. Well, so far, he's had a much better season than last season. He's taken another leap forward in his scoring, another leap forward in his playmaking. His shooting is even more efficient. At the end of the day, there is not much more you could do if you're Zach Lavine to become an All-Star. And our record is slightly better. We are 7-10. We're not terrible record, but again, to say that we should be over 500, or to say that we should be a winning team within the 4th seed or whatever, that's not how it works. Because why is Trae Young in there? Why was Trae Young in there to begin with? It's a fan vote for most of it. The other things come to the coaching. In my opinion, Zach Lavine, people have praised Zach Lavine to the moon and back. He's improved his on-ball defense as well. He's become an all-around very good NBA player, an all-star worthy NBA player. And of course, there will be players that get snubbed. Every year, there's players that get snubbed. But in my opinion, this has to be the season where Zach Lavine does not get snubbed from the All-Star game. There's not much more you can do. Again, this is very early days. This is the part of the season where it's not really a concern for Zach Lavine to try and be an All-Star or not. It's not really a concern for the Chicago Bulls. We have to keep winning. But once the All-Star voting starts to open, people are going to start voting. That's how the All-Star game potentially gets shaped. If Zach Lavine becomes an All-Star starter, then we don't need to worry about Zach Lavine on that bench, allowing coaches and reporters and people that don't watch the Chicago Bulls vote for those players. That's what I'm more concerned about here. But again, this is how it's done. This is how the All-Star game has been done. This is how the All-Star game is always going to be done. As much as we can complain about being snubbed, other players getting snubbed, players like Devin Booker got snubbed last season, DeRozan, so many players got snubbed last season. The fact of the matter is, we're putting our faith in people, in analysts' hands, and I don't think that's how it should be. But again, it is what it is. Zach Lavine should be an All-Star this season. If he continues this productivity, if he continues his 27 points per game and 5 assists, if he continues his efficiency scoring from the field, if he continues his on-ball defending, if for whatever reason he continues all of this, and Zach Lavine is still not an All-Star, if the Bulls are still relatively close to 500, then ladies and gentlemen, it's just simple as that. They're just not watching the Bulls games. They're just not watching. They don't understand what Zach Lavine does for our team. They don't understand what Zach Lavine really is. And every single season, he's going to have to step it up to prove it. And every single season, he's going to get snubbed. That's what I'm concerned about. But to answer the question, is Zach Lavine an All-Star? My answer, of course he's an All-Star. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. How am I going to say Zach Lavine's not an All-Star? I watch the guy game in and game out. Does he have bad games? Of course he has bad games. Every All-Star does have bad games. But does he have good games? He has terrific games sometimes. He has games that mesmerize me. He has games where he's not scoring 40 points and he's still the best player on the team. He's getting his teammates open more. He's becoming a better playmaker. He's taking responsibility for himself. He's improved his on-ball defense, as I mentioned before. There is no reason why Zach Lavine is not an All-Star this season. There is simply no reason. And if he doesn't, then that just shows how the NBA voting really goes. But again, we have to wait and see on how that really does happen. We have to wait and see what the voting is going to be, and then we can make our opinions based on that. Also, there are many players that believe Zach Lavine is an All-Star. Of course, Wendell Carter posted on Instagram saying Zach Lavine should be an All-Star. Again, this guy's been criminally underrated for so long. I don't know how long we can go with Zach Lavine just being as underrated as he is. I bet you a lot of players right now are thinking Zach Lavine is good. Chris Paul is someone else that said very good things about Zach Lavine, talking about how good his game is. At the end of the day, many people know and respect Zach Lavine's game. It's time that those reporters, it's time that the fans all around the world, everybody that votes for the All-Star game, it's time that people recognize Zach Lavine as well. He's definitely someone that should be considered as an All-Star candidate this season. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. This was a little bit more of a rant type video than anything about how the All-Star game really goes. I don't necessarily like the fact that we have to rely on other people, other reporters like the ESPN and the Jump and all these people to vote on our players. But again, just gonna have to hope and wait and see if they really do know what they're talking about at the end of the day. And I'm not saying this to disregard other players. I know there are players that are very, very, very good that did get snubbed. It's not just Zach Lavine, but as a Bulls player, I'm targeting Zach Lavine. I'm talking about Zach Lavine because I know that he is an all-star level player, but he doesn't get that recognition around the league. So maybe this video can help deliver that recognition to other people, to show other people that Zach Lavine is an all-star. And what more could he do to show that he's an all-star? If he has to drop 30 points and 6 rebounds and 6 assists, look, in next season, that's probably what he's going to do. He improves every season. But that surely should not just say, okay, since he's dropping 30, he could be an all-star now. There has to be a little bit more to this. And we wait and see what the all-star voting will be down the line. And obviously when the teams are selected and everything, we will truly find out what people think about Zach Lavine this season. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Take care and peace.